Paris Hilton burst into tears after a conversation with her husband, Carter Reum, turned into a nightmare. The couple is reportedly discussing divorce. So what happened? On the surface, Paris Hilton and Carter Reum's marriage appears glamorous, perfect, and enviable, but beneath the glitz lies a complex web of tensions, emotional pressures, and competing priorities that have led insiders to describe their relationship as messy. From the clash between public image and private reality to differing expectations about family, career, and lifestyle, the marriage has required constant negotiation, mediation, and adaptation. Nikki Hilton, Paris's protective sister, has often found herself at the center of this dynamic, acting as advisor, confidant, and sometimes unintentional source of tension. When Paris Hilton and Carter Reum stood in the garden of her grandfather's Bel Air estate on November 11, 2021, exchanging vows amid glittering chandeliers, flowing silk, and the attention of the world, few could have imagined the storm of emotions, expectations, and private tensions that brewed behind the dazzling smiles and perfectly orchestrated photos.
Who presents this woman to be married to this man?
My wife and I.
Love you.
I don't want to kiss. I know. I'm going to kiss you back here. I'll lick you.
No.
I'm licking you.
Take good care of her. I promise. She's incredible.
Paris, the iconic heiress whose life had been a public spectacle since her teenage years, seemed to have found her prince in Carter, the accomplished entrepreneur and venture capitalist whose calm demeanor balanced her flamboyant persona. But beneath the surface, the merging of their worlds brought both excitement and unforeseen strain. Nikki Hilton had always been the quieter, more measured counterpart in the family, building a life in fashion and philanthropy, watching her sister navigate fame, fortune, and heartbreaks that seemed larger than life, yet feeling a deep sense of protective loyalty that would later place her at the center of subtle but significant marital turbulence. Before the wedding, Carter had even sought Nikki's blessing, a gesture that cemented her role as confidant and, unknowingly, mediator in what would become a complex relational triangle of sister, bride, and husband. And as Paris smiled at the altar, exchanging vows and promising forever, little did anyone know that expectations, identity, and the relentless glare of the public eye would soon collide in ways that blurred the line between love and performance, creating situations that were both poignant and, in their way, chaotic. The early days of their marriage were a whirlwind of public appearances, media coverage, and the pressures of maintaining a brand that spanned decades as Paris balanced her socialite legacy, her fashion and fragrance lines, and her commitment to making the marriage appear picture perfect, while Carter navigated his own identity as a businessman, suddenly thrust into the spotlight of celebrity culture. Nikki's presence, intended as a supportive anchor, became more complex as she offered advice, comfort, and sometimes gentle caution, remarking publicly on Paris's unusually relaxed approach to wedding planning and privately suggesting that she remain grounded even amid the extravagance. But in doing so, she inadvertently introduced a layer of subtle tension, as Carter sometimes perceived her involvement as interference, even when motivated purely by care and familial loyalty. Paris and Carter first crossed paths many years ago through mutual friends and Los Angeles social circles, though at the time they were just acquaintances moving in similar elite environments. For over a decade, they ran into each other at parties, charity events, and industry gatherings, often exchanging pleasantries but never pursuing anything romantic. Around 2019, however, their paths began to align more closely as they started spending more time together in private settings, discovering shared interests, values, and a natural chemistry that had been unnoticed before. This reconnection allowed them to deepen their friendship, which gradually evolved into a romantic relationship. By February 2021, after years of knowing each other in different contexts, Carter proposed to Paris on a private island, marking the official beginning of their engagement and setting the stage for their high-profile wedding later that year. Their story is often described as a blend of longtime familiarity and newfound love, where friendship slowly blossomed into a lasting romantic partnership. As the cameras rolled for Paris's Peacock docuseries, Paris in Love, the couple's private and public lives intertwined, capturing tender moments, logistical chaos, and emotional vulnerability that would later serve as a prism for viewers to speculate about the reality behind the glitz. The series documented the complexities of planning lavish events, managing brand obligations, and nurturing a relationship under scrutiny. While the public saw laughter, romance, and spectacle, the private reality contained arguments over guest lists, dress selections, and the balance between career obligations and marital compromise. Though these arguments were often resolved, the presence of cameras meant that even fleeting moments could be amplified into perceived drama. The journey toward parenthood added additional layers of challenge as Paris and Carter pursued surrogacy for their children, a process that brought joy, but also anxiety, logistical intricacies, and emotional highs and lows, culminating in the birth of Phoenix in January 2023 and London in November 2023. The couple's efforts to maintain privacy while celebrating milestones publicly created friction points, as decisions about public appearances, social media posts, and brand promotion often required delicate negotiation. And Nikki, ever protective of her sister, sometimes stepped in to offer advice or coordination, inadvertently creating the perception of divided loyalties. One particularly fraught episode reportedly unfolded when Carter confronted Paris about a social media post that, in his view, shared too intimate a glimpse into their family life. Paris, feeling accused and misunderstood, fired back that he was trying to control her voice and dim her individuality, a charge that cut deep given her lifelong struggle to define herself beyond others' expectations. What began as a disagreement over boundaries spiraled into a full-blown emotional standoff, laced with passive-aggressive remarks and cold silences that lingered for days. Friends close to the couple described the argument as toxic but telling, revealing the delicate fault lines between love and self-expression, privacy and publicity, the very contradictions that had always defined Paris Hilton's world. As time passes, the arguments intensify and become more frequent, creating a cycle of affection followed by tension. With their busier schedules and the never-ending public spotlight, even the smallest disagreements over travel plans, photo choices, or the children's clothes quickly escalate. Friends describe the arguments as emotionally draining, often beginning with frustration and ending in silence. Paris hides behind her calm, polished exterior, while Carter withdraws, creating a silent distance that feels colder than words. What makes these moments truly toxic isn't the anger itself, but the exhaustion that follows. Two people deeply in love, yet trapped in a vicious cycle of unmet expectations, power struggles, and the constant pressure to appear perfect in a world constantly watching them.